Hello everyone and welcome to another video. It's been a long time since I've done this. When was the last time I did this? Probably even before the Christmas holiday, so yeah, been a while. But yeah, where do I begin? First of all, hello. This coronavirus, not even epidemic, it's a pandemic now, is currently breaking loose, going wild, taking over the world. Everyone's probably wondering what the hell is going on right now. I've not left my house in probably 2 weeks now. Just been at home. What can I do? Yeah. Well, honestly, the world's going crazy. You've got sporting events being cancelled. Like literally, probably every single sporting event I can think of. Tennis has been cancelled. F1's been cancelled. Football's been cancelled. What else? I think horse racing, which I don't really watch. Heard even that got cancelled. Although they left it late on that one, but yeah, everything's been cancelled. Snooker cancelled. Yeah, literally every sporting event you can think of is being cancelled, and the world is effectively being shut down, pretty much. A lot of people aren't leaving their homes, just staying indoors. I guess trying to do something with their lives, whether it's working out from home, doing, I don't know, homework or something for students, I guess, or binging YouTube, binging Netflix or whatever, or making some funny games to amuse themselves. I don't know. Boredom, I guess, is different for everyone. People have their own way of coping with it. Me personally, I've been playing some video games, Toka 3, F1 Challenge 99 to 02. Those are the two main games I've played. Played a bit of F1 2013 as well. Yeah, I mean, and I've also been binging YouTube. That's all I've done. I don't really watch TV these days unless the sport is on. But yeah, this virus, I've never experienced. I mean, I've only been alive for 20 years, so hardly a long time. But in my few years of being on this world, I've never seen anything like this ever. Yeah, we've had virus, outbreaks before. The Ebola outbreak in 2014, the Zika outbreak 2 years later, the swine flu, which I think happened 10 years ago now. Stuff like that, but they were all eventually contained. I didn't really get much mileage. But this COVID-19, as the WHO like to call it, is something different, something much more contagious and, spreadable, I guess. Maybe not the right word, but yeah, it started in Wuhan in China. I don't really know how it started. I'm not going to go into how it started because I guess it's a bit of a debate. But I think it started in China, in Wuhan, and people take flights, go to China, come back from China, go to wherever they were before, going to another country maybe for holiday, and they don't even know that they have it because this virus is unusual that it has quite a long, I believe, incubation period. I mean, I'm not an expert. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on this. I'm just reading stuff on Twitter and you know, watching YouTube videos about it. I'm not really an expert. I'm nowhere near an expert, but people say that this virus has a period of, I guess, 5 to 20 days, something like that. If I were to do a rough estimate, the rough range, so 5 to 20 days, where someone can have the virus and not know that they have it. Like symptoms can just not show up for as long as 2 weeks or something like that. But the thing is, even though symptoms don't show for this person, they can still spread the virus. So I could have it right now and not even know that I have it, and meet someone else who's, let's say, 40 years older than me, and obviously he's older, so he'll get affected by it. So this is a very different threat we're dealing with. Well, I'm not dealing with it. I mean, I guess everyone's playing their part. Well, most people are trying to minimize by not going out, which obviously help slow down the spread of this virus. And hopefully, whoever has it is able to fight it off. Um, People in my age group, I guess people from, I don't know, 5 to, let's say, 30 years old, 35 years old, people in that age group, maybe even 40 years old, should be fine. Yeah, younger people, so to speak, in my age group, most of them probably won't feel that much of a bother. They'll probably be mostly all right. They might not feel anything. They might have slight cold, slight sore throat, nothing major. But it's not about people my age or slightly younger or slightly older. It's my parents, it's my grandparents, it's my neighbors. It's the older people, who have more of a chance of really, really feeling the effects, the negative effects that this horrible virus has. I don't care if I get it personally, but obviously I live in a house with my family who are much older than me. It's them who I'm concerned about, especially my mum who has asthma, which can't help because I believe this is a respiratory virus, and asthma is obviously a respiratory condition which affects your breathing. So, yes, people like her, the family, the neighbors who are much older, it's them I'm concerned about mostly. Obviously, myself and my friends who are my age. Obviously, I'm sure my friends will be mostly fine, but some of them are taking it very lightly, actually, which surprises me. Hey, maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe it's not that big a deal. Maybe everyone's just panicking too much. But I guess for me, at least, it's better to be safe than sorry. But yeah, I hope that all my friends are doing all right and they're not going to have any problems. But yeah, I've never seen anything like this before. Like the whole world is in a pandemic, not just a certain area having its little epidemic. It's the whole world. It's really, really. I've never seen anything like this in my whole life. Even with previous outbreaks, there's never been any major sport cancellations. But I feel like the last time Formula One was cancelled for a significant amount of time, as it is now, it's probably the Second World War, which is 70 odd years ago now. So it's quite crazy it's been that long. I don't remember. I mean, I'm not an expert on sports cancellations, really, but I don't remember this happening ever in my life, where so many sports have just been cancelled. And people like me, I love sport. I follow quite a few sports actually, um, and I'm not able to watch any. Hey, it's not really a problem to be honest. Hey, I can't watch sports. Not a big deal, right? No, it's not a big deal. But people are either bored or depressed or scared or in a worry or in a problem themselves. It's a very negative world at the moment. Um, and there's no escapism really with sport. At least for me, there's no escapism because I don't watch TV shows or movies. I only watch sport. So for me, there's no escapism from reality with this pandemic that's going on. Um, it's funny, like a week before the Australian Grand Prix was scheduled to happen, I was getting all excited, that feeling inside, the butterfly feeling. Oh, yes, first race of the season, can't wait. Those first race of the season vibes that I always get every single year in March before the first race. And I honestly thought, this race might actually happen, might not cancel it until Thursday evening, or was it Friday morning? I don't even know, to be honest with you. Where, I saw all these information on Twitter. Oh, we might cancel it, we might not, we might cancel it. Oh, this is happening, that's happening, that's happening. It might go ahead, it might not. And it was quite a torturous 12 hours of debating whether or not this race was going to happen. And the FIA finally came to a conclusion a mere 2 hours before the start of practice that they're going to cancel the event. And at that point, I was like, oh yeah, here we go. It's begun. It really is a problem now. I tell you what, I wish I was a few years younger, because if I was a GCSE or sixth form student, I'd be loving life right now. School's being cancelled, brilliant result. Like, I don't think school has ever been cancelled in my lifetime until today, when the government announced that they're gonna close the schools. Exams have been cancelled. Like, geez, this is like that scene out of Harry Potter. I think, was it the second film or the third, where Dumbledore, I think, says, "Oh, all the exams are cancelled. There's a reward," and everyone just cheers, except Hermione, because, well, she loves that stuff. But yeah, I bet that's every kid right now. It's probably like, "Yay, school's cancelled." Happy times for them, I guess. Fair enough, really. I'd do the same if I was in this position. But yeah, exams cancelled. That's when you know it's a serious thing. School cancelled, exam cancelled, the whole world shut down. Italy's in a lockdown. I don't believe anyone is allowed to go outside unless they're buying food. Shows you how seriously they're taking it. But yeah, Formula One cancelled. I was going to make lots of videos about each car that's been revealed. What do I think of this car? What do I think of this car and that car and that car? What do I think of the appearance of each car? I don't know whether I should do this now, because it doesn't feel right. There's more pressing issues right now than car reviews or car opinions on what a car look like. It doesn't really matter though. The season might not even happen. So yeah, the world has gone mad. Absolutely crazy. This virus completely changed how people live their lives at the moment. And I'm sure it'll be over. I'm sure at some point it will disappear, but for now it's just crazy. But yeah, at the moment life doesn't feel quite right. The world doesn't feel quite right, and I hope this disappears as soon as possible, because I miss the feeling of normality. Normality is underrated. Take it for granted, don't you? But I just miss being able to go outside without any worries and just carry on with life as normal. You know, I had a karting race I was going to go to this Sunday with a friend, debating in my mind, should I go or should I not go? If this virus wasn't here, I'd definitely go, absolutely, but I don't know, it's tough. So yeah, I hope everyone all over the world is able to recover from this situation and not face too much difficulty, and wish everyone in the world the best, really. You know, it's not nice reading news of people dying of this disease, of this virus. Unfortunately, some people aren't so lucky. So, yeah, let's hope as many people as possible are able to get through this situation without many problems. I hope we can get back to normal life, get all the sports back on the TV, everyone able to continue life as normal. Because I can't believe I'm saying this, but I miss 2019. And I thought that year was not the worst year of my life, not amazing either, alright, I guess. But you know, coming to this decade, I thought, yes, new decade, new year, gonna be good, gonna be great, fresh start. But that couldn't be further from the truth. I don't know if I should talk about F1, to be honest. There's much more pressing matters, which I've already talked about. Strange times. I guess why not? I guess it makes sense to talk about these 2020 Formula One cars because today there's a rumour that the 2021 regulations might actually be pushed back to 2022, postpone them for a year, because obviously the teams have spent a lot of money investing, designing, producing these 2020 cars. They might not actually race this year. Even if they do race, they might not race the full season. We're looking at a potential 2020/21 super season on the cards, maybe. Obviously, the teams they don't want to waste their money, you know, spending all this money designing these 2020 cars only for them to not be raced at all would be a shame. Now, part of me is kind of like, oh, I was really looking forward to these new regulations of Formula One, but from a monetary economic standpoint, I guess I can understand why this decision might be taken. So I'm only gonna talk about what I think of the looks of these cars. I'm not gonna talk about aerodynamics or any of that, because really I'm a complete armchair analyst when it comes to aerodynamics. I know absolutely nothing about aerodynamics. It looks very interesting, but I know nothing. So I guess we'll start off with the Ferrari SF1000, which, again, not the best name. It sounds like a fictional car from an early 2000s video game to me. It's very, very video game-esque, that name. But yeah, Ferrari SF1000, which I believe marks Ferrari's 1000th Formula One World Championship Grand Prix start, I believe, which happens at some point this year. Well, it was going to happen at some point this year. It might not. That name might have just aged like milk, but we'll wait and see. And I actually, my thoughts on the livery, I quite like it. I quite like it. Now, people who know me personally know that Ferrari is my least favourite team, but even I have to concede that I actually quite like the look of this car. or the livery anyway. So I guess I'll just compare it to last year's livery first of all. Last year's livery had potential, but wrong shade of red. They used this kind of tomato red, which almost looked orange, especially in bright light. It really looked orange, and instead of red, probably the worst shade Ferrari has ever used in F1. To be honest with you, which is a shame because I liked the actual design of the livery. I like how they got rid of all of the white, absolutely no white on the car now, which I'm in favor of. I like my Ferraris fully red, personally. I don't like any white on the car. I'm not really a fan of black either. It's like the whole car to be covered in white, except the tyres, obviously. But yeah, last year's Ferrari was a bit too orange, which is a shame. It ruined the whole livery. And matte finish. I think some cars matte finish works. I think matte yellow works. I think matte pink works. I think matte green can work, but matte red, I don't think so. I think red looks better when it's in a shiny finish, in my opinion. I mean, I think this matte finish that Ferrari's decided is kind of split sides 50-50. Some people like it, some people don't. I guess the people who don't like it probably don't like change, those kinds of people. Um, I have to admit, sometimes I'm one of those people. Sometimes I can embrace change, and sometimes I hate it. Depends on what it is. Um, yeah, the matte finish that Ferrari decided last year, because they've always painted their cars gloss or some sort of shiny finish, but this time they decided to go with matte. Um, Last year it didn't work, but I felt that was only really because of the color. I thought the actual livery itself was all right. The color was wrong. This year they've changed it. It's a much more deeper red. I describe it as a kind of F2000, maybe not F2007 shade red, but kind of similar to that. More deeper, darker red, which I love. I love the dark red. Honestly, the F2007 is my favorite Ferrari of all time. And one of the reasons for that is the darker shade of red on the livery. I think it looks brilliant. And they've decided to go with that. Obviously, they're keeping the matte finish for this year, which, as I said, I prefer it to be in gloss, but I think matte works with this kind of livery, to be honest. This particular style, I think if you had painted the 2004 Ferrari, for example, in matte, I think it would look really naff. It wouldn't look good at all. But this is alright. I like it. As I said, I think it would look better in gloss. So I guess I'll rate it 7 out of 10, maybe? I'll go with 7 out of 10 for the 2020 Ferrari colour scheme livery. As for the way the chassis looks, the nose, they've kept the same nose that they've had since 2016. I'm not a fan of it. I've never been a fan of the thumb style protrusion from the nose. I've never been a fan of that. It looks a bit weird, like a watered down 2014 nose, and we all know how much people hated the 2014 noses. So I guess nose wise it's not the best, but apart from that I think the Ferrari looks alright. Now on to the Haas VF-20. So last year, as I'm sure many of you will know at this point, Haas opted to go with a black and gold colour scheme, which I thought was really poorly executed, to be honest with you. Needed more gold, less black, but they did this because of this title sponsorship with Rich Energy, which was a complete disaster because the CEO of the company is a complete idiot, complete absolute fraud, joke of a person, doesn't know what he's doing, constantly makes fun of his team, doesn't have any positive words to say about the team he sponsors, just constantly making fun of the car's performance on Twitter. To be fair, the car was shit. The car was bad. But if you're a sponsor of this team that's struggling, surely you need to give them reassurance rather than make fun of them. That's just me. Hey, I'm a 20-year-old. What do I know? Anyway, but yeah, last year Haas went for a really boring black and gold, which I thought was badly executed. nowhere near as good as the JPS Lotuses of the 80s and the 70s. They were way better. This has rich energy because there's a shit version of that, really. Shame, because black and gold, as shown by that JPS Lotus era, works really well. It's a beautiful iconic color scheme, and Haas comes along and makes a shit version of it. Disappointing. But this year they've gone back to their old colors, but they've done it differently. Now, every single Haas livery until this year, in my opinion, was absolute garbage. 2016, boring. 2017, boring. 2018, boring. 2019, just underwhelming. But this year, now it's not an exciting livery. It's not wow, oh my god livery. It's not bold. But I think the best way to describe it is elegant, classy, professional, a livery that you can appreciate. I mean, they've gone with red, white, and blue, but the way they've done it is more elegant. They've cut out that nasty grey that they had on some of their previous cars. Just black, white, and red. The red accents are done in a really, really neat, orderly fashion. The white is laid out nice. The black, that's where I criticize this livery, because I feel like the side of the car, especially where the barge board area, kind of that area, the big patch of black, which kind of ruins the livery in my opinion. If they painted that white, it would look perfect. But yeah, definitely the best livery Haas has ever had for me. It looks much more professional, refined. It doesn't look like a back marker anymore. I think that's the main thing. It looks like a solid team that means business now. So again, I'm going to rate it a 7 out of 10. If the side I mentioned was white instead of black, could have given it probably an 8 or a 9, because I think it looks really, really professional, really modern, really elegant, really good. But yeah, take a few points off for the black. Now on to the Red Bull, and I mean, what really can I say other than it's exactly the same livery that we've had for the last 5 years now. I mean, the Red Bull livery is not bad. It's not a bad livery. Objectively, if you have to be objective about this, really, it's not an opinion. It's not bad livery. It's a very professional, corporate, well organized. My problem with this livery, it's not exciting. I like my liveries to be bold and bright and colourful and vibrant and eye-catching and exciting. This just feels very corporate and bland and sterile and emotionless. Just, to me, it doesn't really represent what Red Bull are about. Red Bull are fun. They come across in their PR department anyways, a fun, excitable, bold, entertaining organization that does all sorts of things. They don't just make energy drinks, they do all sorts of things. But I feel like the livery is the complete opposite of what they represent. I just think they need to completely change the livery. I know it's brand color, brand identity, I get that, but I feel like they would get even more recognition and attention if they completely just change the livery. Do something bold, do something different, do something out there, exciting, like the Toro Rosso livery from 2017 to 2019. That was exciting. That was bold, colourful, what a livery should be in my opinion. I just think it needs to be more exciting, more bold, more daring. They need to change it in my opinion. So I'm going to give it a 5. It's actually maybe even less than that. I don't know, it's not a bad livery, but it's not great. I think 5 out of 10 for the livery. As for the overall look of the car, I think it looks better than last year's car. I like the more thin. I love the thin noses. I don't like wide, fat noses. I like skinny noses. Um, and Red Bull's nose is very skinny this year. They've slimmed it down a lot. And I think overall the car looks a lot better. And I think it suits the livery better as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing it out on track. If it is going to be out on track. Now the next team is Mercedes. And I'm just going to give my rating straight away. It's a 3. It's a 3 out of 10. Last year's Mercedes livery was 10 out of 10. Best livery they ever had. They refined the silver worked so well. The gradient was better. I loved the little Mercedes stars they had across the back of the car. I thought that was a really cool touch. The Petronas turquoise stripes were really nicely arranged and even more bolder and sharper. And I think it was a really cool, really striking livery. It's a proper silver arrow, I thought. And even with Niki Lauda's sad passing, they made one of the stars on the car red, which is a really nice touch. Now this year they decided that they were going to add some more red with the arrival of a new title sponsor, which I'm not going to pronounce the name of because I can't, so I won't bother. Look it up. Search for the car. Google the sponsor yourself, mate. Sure, we've got an internet in your house. So yeah, this new sponsor was gonna bring some more red to the car, which, you know, had mixed emotions. It could be really good, like the Vodafone McLaren Mercedes livery, which obviously iconic livery by now. Everyone should know what it is. Chrome and red worked really well. I was thinking, look, we've seen red with silver before. This could work. But then the livery was revealed, and I thought execution was really poor. I really don't like the red accents have this weird gradient to them, which I think really ruins the red. I think they should make it a flat design rather than a gradient, to be honest with you. And it really doesn't go. Like burgundy red and turquoise and silver, they really do not go well together. Just think it doesn't work. The red on this turquoise and silver, it just doesn't work. But hey, it's a sponsorship, so they're fully entitled to put it on the car. They have reasons to do it. I respect those reasons, but just that little change, those little red accents. They barely changed the livery. Honestly, all they did was add a few red accents and made the Petronas stripe matte instead of gloss. That's all they did. It's essentially the same livery. But there's two little changes drop the livery from a 10 to a 3. 3 out of 10 for me. One of the worst in the grid in my opinion. Alfa Romeo now. Mercedes made very small changes to the livery but completely ruined it. Alfa Romeo, on the other hand, made very small changes to the livery but absolutely improved it completely. Now, this livery, really all they've done, I believe, is just added 2 red stripes either side of the nose and made the front wing completely black instead of dark blue. I think they used to have there might be a different shading of red, I'm not sure, but overall it's a very similar livery to the last 2 years. But for me, it goes from, I guess, a 6 out of 10 livery to a 9 out of 10 livery for me. I'm going to give it a 9. Honestly, I think it's brilliant. It looks like what a Ferrari B team should look like. Predominantly, I mean, it should have some red on it because it's linked to Ferrari, but shouldn't be fully red because then it will look like too much like Ferrari. And I think the white complements it really well. And 9 out of 10. As I said, very small changes, but at least these changes have improved the livery, not made it worse, unlike Mercedes. 9 out of 10. Right. Unpopular opinion time. The the Alpha Tauri. And first of all, that's this rubbish name. Bring back Toro Rosso, much better name than Alpha Tauri, which very weird pronunciation. But anyway, yeah, unpopular opinion. When this livery was first launched, and I gotta say, the launch event for this car was just dreadful. Half an hour of fashion shows. Like, I like fashion. I am interested in fashion. Look at my snazzy jumper. But I'm here to watch an F1 car launch, not a fashion show. And fashion is meant to be exciting and daring and bold, not some boring dad outfit that my 50-year-old dad would wear. Not that's literally like the outfits they were walking out with was literally something my dad would wear. They're so plain and beige and old people stuff. I thought AlphaTauri is a fashion brand. This is not fashion. This is just boring. Look at Lewis Hamilton's Tommy Hilfiger collab. That's definitely a lot better than anything AlphaTauri's put out. Anyway, going off topic. Yeah, when this livery first launched in the event, I went with the bandwagon and said that this is a great livery. It's very professional and beautiful and amazing and all that shit. But the more I look at this livery, especially when I've seen it on track, the less I like it. The design is fine. The design's alright. The design's, I see what they're going for. They're trying to kind of separate themselves from Red Bull. I don't think they want to be associated as a B team to Red Bull, because they probably see that as a bit humiliating. Well, not humiliating, but a bit downgrading. But so I appreciate them for doing something different. Change is good, but the colors they use are just really bland, like white and black. You're a fashion brand. White and black? Really? Come on. You have this whole palette. This palette worth millions of pounds that you can paint. And you decide to go with black and white. It's just bland. I mean, it's not bad. It's like Red Bull. Red Bull, same thing. It's not bad. It's just a bit boring. Like Red Bull, I get. Red Bull, brand colors, brand identity, all that. AlphaTauri doesn't have a brand identity. It's a brand new thing. They could have done so much more with that. I'm really disappointed. The teaser video had this kind of chrome black matte sun kind of finish, which I thought looked quite neat. And then they come out with a white. It looks like a Sauber. Sauber when it was down in the dumps, when BMW ditched them. That's what this looks like. A Sauber. It's really dull. And it just makes me miss the Toro Rosso livery that they used to have from like last 2017 to 2019. I much prefer that livery. That was one of my favorite liveries ever, to be honest with you, because it was exciting, colourful. This feels very corporate and bland, this AlphaTauri livery. So for me, I'm going to give it 5, maybe 5, average. It's not terrible, it's not great, average. Disappointing. Not ugly, not terrible, just average. Now, the McLaren MCL 35. This is an interesting one. It depends on my mood. Sometimes I really like this livery and other times I don't. What I will say, last year's livery was better. I think last year's livery with the triangle pattern, I thought was really, it blended the orange and the blue very well. The triangular pattern. And I thought they'd carry on with that because, they could have made it, Red Bull has their own brand identity with the black, yellow, red, not black, yellow, red, blue, yellow, red colours, and the bull on the engine cover and the Red Bull logo on the side pods and the bull logo on the front. And, they have their own brand identity. McLaren, those triangles could have been a new brand identity for them, but they decided not to go with that, which is a shame, really. But hey,